Go! Teen Titans Go!
Oh no.
Oh gosh.
Please let me know as soon as the Substack chat hits.
There we go.
Okay, we're good.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and we have people too. Cool. Cool. We have people. Hi, Lily. Welcome to today's edition of the Deep Exhale with myself, Wendy the Druid, Sarah the Stoic, and Brandon the Super Day. Brandon, who is Super Day. I'm just gonna point that out.
Super gay.
Super Day.
We need to get Brandon a cape.
Oh yes.
Yeah, there we go. So there's everybody's titling going on there. Lily Bees, I'm doing well. Well, actually, I'm not doing great, but we're going to talk about that. This morning I woke up and I started, sort of compiling the Daily Digest. Sarah, can you link the Daily Digest in the chat, please?
Yeah, I can do that.
And, I thought about this. My phone already knows where I went last night and what I watched on TikTok at 2 a.m. and probably whether I'm documented or not. So it turns out that if you're on TikTok, it's time to leave TikTok. TikTok has become fully ICE elite and fully Palantir enabled. So the US version of TikTok is now pretty well integrated into tracking everything. And so I spent the morning working because I'm working a job and watching the Bad Bunny in the background, watching the Bad Bunny Super Bowl replay, because I don't care what anyone says, Bad Bunny put on a fabulous halftime show, and it was amazing. And anyone that tells you different is bullshit. I promise you. And so, fuck Donald Trump. Fuck the Turning Point USA halftime show with Kid Rock. By the way, Kid Rock, who is a dick-sniffing butt trumpet, he needs to hang it up. He's getting up there like AC/DC and Maiden and all those cool bands or whatever. They're getting old. And so, Kid Rock is getting to where Vince Neil is right now, which Vince Neil pretty much goes on stage and lip syncs everything because he doesn't have the range and he doesn't have the vocality and he doesn't even know the songs anymore. So briefly during Kid Rock's Turning Point USA halftime show, Kid Rock stopped singing, and it was very clear that he was lip syncing because the music was keeping up with him in a Milli Vanilli moment, and I thought it was just okay, this is stupid. Just complete and utter trash. So going into that, let's talk about survival. And so injury. Back in 1905, there was a labor movement slogan that was coined saying an injury to one of us is an injury to all of us. And that remains true today. This wasn't just a slogan. It was a tactical analysis forged in factories where bosses weaponized division to break strikes up because, you know, um, unions weren't a thing back then, and they needed to be. So they understood what the system hopes that you'll forget when they come for the immigrants, when they're testing tactics that they'll use on you, when they slash HIV funding. They're normalizing healthcare as a privilege instead of a right, and that's wrong. And when they let forests burn, they're betting that you won't notice until the smoke reaches your neighborhood and chokes you to death. The architecture of oppression doesn't stop at the first target. It hits the first target, and then it expands a little more, and then it expands a little more, and it expands a little more until it gets so wide that it includes everybody that the system wants to go away, you, and leaves whoever else intact. Today's ICE raids are tomorrow's police state. Today's data harvesting builds tomorrow's social credit system. Today's climate sacrifice zones map tomorrow's uninhabitable regions. The system survives by convincing you that your zip code, your documentation status, your HIV status, that your bank account, these things separate you, your fate, from your neighbor's fate, who could be completely different. That's the lie that keeps the machine running. And when you're exhausted and you're tempted to think, at least they're not coming for me yet, that means that they will come for you eventually. Solidarity isn't charity, it's self-preservation. Your liberation, my liberation, Sarah's liberation, they're the same project. It's the same effort. Every time you accept that my suffering or someone else's suffering is acceptable, you're greasing those wheels that will eventually roll over you. Because when they're done with me, when they're done with the immigrants, and when they're done with all the trans people, who do you think they're going to go for next? That's not idealism. That's pattern recognition. An injury to one is an injury to all of us. And the only response that's ever worked in collective defense, mutual protection, and the absolute refusal to let them pick us off one at a time is to say no. And so that begs the question, when did defending another person, queer, trans, or progressive, feel like you were defending yourself? And so, Sarah, can you take care of that one?
Mm-hmm.
And the
there through Restream.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Boy, the YouTube chat is amazing today already. I feel like, if you're going to try that hard, you need to try harder. So when did defending another queer person or another gay person or another progressive person feel like defending myself? That's a very easy question to answer. There was John Johnson, human survival is the subject. So, yeah, there was this was about 4 years ago. It was very early in my gender transition, and I was in a restaurant one day, and I had just started wearing dresses and doing my makeup, and I knew I wasn't spot on. I was expected to be the target, but I was sitting in a restaurant one day, and there was another queer person in the restaurant, and a guy walked up, to this person and said a bunch of slurs and shit. And I wasn't having it. So I got up and I walked over and I said, hey, you need to sit down. And you need to leave that person alone. Because they have a right to live just as much as you do. Of course, the guy turned around and called me a faggot and a cocksucker and any number of explicative number of, you know, fucked up names, which, you know, as a longtime queer person, that sort of went out the door. I mean, I didn't give a shit. If you were going to say shit like that to me, it needed to be much worse than that for you to have an effect on me, because I wasn't going to do it. And so, that to me felt like, you know, I was at a time in which, you know, I was having a positive effect by doing that, but it felt like me, which is true, because then every other time that I got attacked by somebody or accosted or called a sissy or called a tranny or whatever else, it was just a repeat of that experience. And so that creates this uniform experience that affects us in this way, and it's profound. You know, it sort of harkens back to the idea that solidarity isn't charity. You know, that it is self-preservation. We're just doing it in a group. So.
Gosh. Okay.
Don't worry, Brandon. You get to go first on the next one.
Great.
John Johnson, I agree with you. Most tribes are at this point by now. Thank you for your positive commentary, by the way, John Johnson.
I don't know that I've firsthand experienced the situation like you're asking about.
You've never defended somebody in public?
I've not had to be in a position where I
even your own
needed to.
child?
No, amazingly, my child has not needed public defense.
Has never needed public defense, really?
Really.
I mean,
if my child can verbally defend themselves to my father, I think they've got it handled.
Why is that?
Why do I think they have it handled, or are you asking about the specific situation?
No, I'm asking why you think they have it handled.
My child thinks quicker on their feet than I do. Has more of the snappy comebacks, and yeah.
Okay, I mean, that's an acceptable answer. And it's good that your child has that introspective perspective, I guess is the word. So, Brandon, have you ever had that experience?
I'm in the same boat as Sarah, really. I haven't experienced that anywhere in public. I haven't seen it happen. I even tried to make it happen, because I went to the Topeka Pride Palooza last year, and I expected to see protesters, and my intention was to go to talk to one of them and on live video and ask them why they were there and things like that, but there weren't any there. And I was kind of surprised, especially being in Topeka and the church there and everything. I mean, I know they're not as active as they were when fuckhead Fred was there, but I don't know. I was surprised, but I didn't see any. And that was my experience at Kansas City and Nebraska, Omaha, Ozarks. I never encountered any protesters.
Hi,
But-
Marnie, by the way. Didn't encounter any protesters, but you wanted to. What would have happened if you had?
Well, like I said, that's what my plan was to go, because I went live on every time I went to these different Pride Fests, and my plan was to go up and see if one was willing to talk to me on live video and just answer a few simple questions, and my intention was to show people what we have to deal with as a community. And I just, it didn't happen. But I'm also kind of like Sarah. I'm not quick on my feet as far as if I were to encounter someone, a situation, I'm very much a what I should have said kind of person. Later, I'll think about things and think, oh, I should have said this, or I wish I would have done this or said this.
Gosh,
'Cause
I missed this opportunity.
Yeah, my brain does not work very quickly.
Hindsight is always 2020.
Hindsight, yes. I'm more, I guess that's why I'm more of a writer, because I can think about things and write them out and edit them exactly the way I want it to be said, use the right words and that kind of thing. And when it's in the moment, kind of like what I was saying, I don't know, last week or the week before or something, when I was asking, could we get some questions beforehand? Because I can't. When you just pop a question, I'm like, I haven't thought about this. I don't know.
Well, that's why I let you go last. But also too, the last two questions for today's topic are a little. I tried to go very introspective, but at the same time, emotionally attaching. So my next two sectional questions are interesting, a little more interesting, and certainly there will be input to provide there. I promise you at least one of these questions is going to be fun for you, Brandon.
Oh dear.
But so times I wish I had, so I have to share something. So this is a picture of here. This is me, very early transition. So just sort of ignore that fact. But this person and this person, the person over here is my friend Shay, and the person over here is my friend Cammy. Pseudonyms, of course. But that year at Pride, we were in Piedmont Park. Pride was going on, and so they had like the street preacher people that were there, and so Shay and Cammy walked up to one of them, and I so wish I would have followed them up there to get video of this, because it would have been priceless. But said to the street preacher, "We're both trans," and then they threw arms over each other and made out for a minute in front of them. And the preacher grabbed his Bible and started shaking and screaming and hollering. And there were all these, bad words, and everybody else at Pride, because virtually everybody in Piedmont Park, with the exception of the like 0.01% of the Christian people that were there, were all queer as fuck and and happy and shit. It was a good time. Got all around my two friends and were like, and then this one leather-clad bear walked up, I think, the way I heard it, and told the guy to shut up, or something was going to happen. And so that's like my quintessential story about somebody that using their identity to defend other people of a similar identity happened. And so that was a real powerful moment. So my next quote is, "It is our duty to fight for freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other, and we don't have anything to lose but the ties that bind us." And so that was Asada Shakur in her own autobiography. And so Asada wrote those words while being hunted by the state, while living with a target on her back, while knowing that survival itself was an act against the systems. Systems in that time, by the way, that were keyed specifically towards her erasure and her elimination. And so, she said, fight, win, love, and support, all in one sentence. And she named exactly what we were breaking, the ties that bind us. Today, when they tell you surveillance is safety, when they tell you that extraction is progress, when they tell you that to be patient while they dismantle your rights, one executive order at a time, it becomes necessary to remember Shakur's words. Fighting doesn't mean you're destroying yourself in rage. It means showing up for each other when the state won't do it, because it's very clear the state doesn't give a shit. They don't care. Today I read an account about a 61-year-old homeless guy who was ejected from the hospital for being homeless. He was still in his hospital gown, didn't have any shoes on, and at 61, quite literally died in the hospital parking lot in a wheelchair. That's how much society cares about what it doesn't want in it. And so, no, Sin City, you're right. No one is coming to save anyone. And the system is against you. I hate to break this to everybody, but Discord announced today that basically going forward, Discord is going to require a facial scan or a government licensed ID to continue to use features in Discord space. So, no, I'm not going to give Discord my data. Fuck them. Fuck systems of surveillance. Fuck systems of control. So find other spaces. Find spaces where you feel safe. I'm a techie. I'm on the verge of setting up a Matrix server so that I can have a secure, I control it space that allows for Discord-like behavior that is not controlled by anybody but me and completely open and free. That doesn't charge you money, that doesn't track your where you are, doesn't do anything with your geolocation data, and is encrypted and keeps you safe and allowed to communicate with who you want to communicate. Because honestly, that's where it's going. So each time you choose solidarity over self-preservation, you're winning. That's winning. The ties that bind us are real, but so is our collective strength to break them apart. That's the armor and the shield that we have: duty, love, support, and the absolute refusal to accept bondage as permanent. And so that begs the question, who was the first person that showed you that being a queer, trans, or gay person was what you needed and what was worth fighting? And for me, two factors. The person that taught me that being a queer person was worthy fighting for was the bartender at Mary's in East Atlanta. And, I was a very young, burgeoning queer person at the time. And the second person to do it from a trans perspective was, and I've talked about her before, was a girl that lived in the neighborhood that I was living in at the time, Carolyn Cossey, who was an early transit. She transitioned in the late 60s, early 70s. And Cossey taught me about the visceral experience that is a trans person, trans people went through in that time. And it was draconianly horrible. I mean, it was nightmarishly difficult. The person that I am now, the person that you see in this live stream, that person would not have been able to transition back in the 60s and 70s. Wouldn't have been allowed to. Wouldn't have been given HRT. Wouldn't have been allowed to seek gender-affirming surgeries. None of those things would have been possible for me as a person 40 years ago, that now are available. Well, they're as available as the Trump administration allows them to be available until the Trump administration tries to shut that down. But when that happens, fine. I'm just going to order my drugs from an international pharmacy. And then if I have to go out of the country to get my surgeries done, that's what I'm going to do. Because that's what I need to do for myself. That's what people did 40 years ago. If we have to go back to that, then that's what I'm going to do. Because that's the thing that taught me that being queer and fighting for myself as a queer person became a reality to me. So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, eeny, meeny.
I guess I'm the Mo.
Mo.
Isn't that what wasn't it Will and Grace that Mo was like a nickname for a gay guy?
Oh, maybe. I have to tell you, Brandon, I recently saw a movie with Sean Patrick Harris, I guess, the guy that played the super gay guy on that show.
That's no, what's his name? Sean Hayes.
Yes, Sean Hayes. He's in the Running Man remake.
Oh,
As of all things, a game show host, and it looks hysterical.
of all things.
So, when did you realize? Who was it?
Ooh.
Yes, who was it that made you realize that you were queer, and or being queer was worthy of fighting for? I told you it was an easier question.
Who? It was. I guess it was. I saw a therapist for a while, and I guess it would have been her.
Okay.
Around the same time, I was friends with an older gay guy, and that kind of helped too. Yeah. I mean, it's a it's a short and simple answer, I guess, but yeah. That's when I kind of around the time that I kind of finally accepted and I was okay with being gay.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the who.
I mean that's the who. Sarah, who was your who?
Who was my who? I
Who?
don't know that I can say that there's a specific person because it's kind of just become. It's just been a realization that's been happening gradually. I can't even say realization because the more I like dig into things, the more I'm like, it was just a matter of accepting it.
Oh, okay. That person's very hurt right now, by the way.
I reached out to you because I needed somebody to express that to that could guide me, I guess. And don't get me wrong, that helped. It really did.
Really, and how did I guide you?
Making me realize that I wasn't crazy for questioning myself.
Why would you be crazy for questioning yourself?
I don't know.
You thought you were?
I don't know what I thought. But I was questioning myself and I needed to. I don't know.
We all need validators one way or another. Some validators are harder than others to accomplish. So that doesn't make it doesn't make it easy. Um, you know, it doesn't it doesn't uncomplicate things. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. So that leads into the Lord quote about survival, which Audre Lorde said, "We were never meant to survive." And she wrote this in 78, knowing that the world was designed to try to erase her. She was a person of color, and she was a lesbian, and she was a progressive person for her time. But she wrote it anyway, and she survived anyway. She built coalitions, and when systems deny your existence, your breath becomes active rebellion. Your medication adherence becomes resistance. Your refusal to disappear becomes the foundation for someone else's survival, because they're counting on your silence. Your exhaustion and your belief that fighting is futile. They take discord away, we find another solution. They take TikTok away, we find another solution. Those solutions protect us. Those solutions keep us safe. And those solutions allow us to express ourselves in this way to all of you that are listening, and to those that need to hear it. Because all of my insecurities and all of the things that I'm feeding into, are just as visible as anyone else that experiences any of those conditions. And so, there's other people that need to hear that. I'm proving them wrong. Survival and a system designed for your elimination is the most profound fuck you that any person can imagine. And as defiant as I am to not be crushed out and stamped out and erased. Every one of you should be the same way, should feel the same way, should be able to express in the same way. And there's a part of me that just won't stay quiet. So, in as much as we were not meant to survive, what part of myself refuses to stay quiet? Well, that's easy. I mean, Sarah can confirm this right here in front of all of you. My inner mom refuses to die. It won't go anywhere. It happens when I walk into the kitchen of my home. It happens when I see my kids. It happens when I see other people who are in need and who are in need of support. And those are very hard things to reconcile because, you know, it's not difficult for me to reconcile them. It's difficult for me not to do them. I told a coworker today, you know, what do you need to get through the day today? And he said to me, he said, Wendy, you're such a mom. And I said, yeah, because my mom energy is free. Because I have an abundance of it to give to people. Do you need me to just sit and listen to you? Great. I'll just sit and listen to you. Nod every so often. But sometimes that's needed. And so that's the part of me that no matter how depressed, how sad, how panicky, how anxiety ridden I get, at my core, that will always be there. And it will never go away. And my hope is that my kids will have that same energy so that when I am no longer here, they can pass that tradition.
I think the thing that is most recurring for me is just the fact that without realizing I'm doing it, I end up showing up for people when they need it. I don't know what to call it. I don't know how I know I need to do it. There's just times where I end up reaching out to people at the time like that they specifically need it. And making impact without realizing it.
Well, you're doing more than most of us. You know, you're already doing more than a bunch of other people should be doing. So you should see that as positive.
I mean, I don't see it as negative.
Yeah, Sin City's right. Mom instinct. Can't ever get away from it. I don't know that I would want to. Sarah, I don't think that's any good. I think that very same feeling is very much similar and very much the same. So, John T. Johnson. So could it be due to estrogen levels and hormones? It's possible. I mean, I put enough estrogen in my body every day to foster. Who knows? I would say this, John Johnson, is that even pre-transition, I was very maternal with my child and my children. So I had that mentality there, Will I say it got worse when I started my transition? Yes, it did. But at the same time, I think that desire was there. So, okay, Brandon, your turn.
I think I missed the.
Oh, what part of your gay or queer self refuses to stay quiet?
What part of it?
I mean, my guesses would be your funny bone, but I'm not going to make assumptions.
Yeah, I guess I could. My sarcasm, humor. I mean, it's sometimes a defense mechanism, but sometimes it's just to bring, what is it called, levity to the situation.
Your levity to the situation is always appreciated, I think, from my perspective. I read your work because there is a lightness to it that, for whatever reason, I can't replicate, and I've tried.
I try to relate to people on an emotional level, and I like being able to evoke emotion from people, whether it's grief, sadness, or humor, sometimes in the same article. And if people feel that, I think it's relatable. It's, we all humans have emotions. Some want to suppress them more than others, but if you allow yourself to feel them, you can relate to each other.
Well, that would be my question. Like, from that perspective, when did you decide to start writing humorously? Because I don't know if you were always that way to begin with.
No. When I was writing on WordPress and mainly doing like fiction and poetry, and then I started writing on Medium and tried to do the same thing, but Medium really didn't seem to like that content. They didn't promote it very well.
Right.
And then I started doing, I got involved in a community of writers that did writing prompts, and they would read each other's work and comment on them and stuff. And so I started doing that, and people started telling me, because I took, anytime I would take a writing prompt, I would twist it and make it humorous, or even if it was a serious one, I would flip it around and make it a funny one instead. And
Right.
a lot of people were commenting on how funny my writing was, and I was like, really? So then I just started leaning into that and writing more of that. And yeah, then when I came to Substack, that's what I focused on.
Right. Well,
But yeah,
I'm going to leave you up there because now we're going to talk about my recipe, my 7-ingredient feed 4 people recipe.
super.
Um,
7
roast-
ingredients?
Well, yeah, but you won't feed 4 people with this one, I don't think.
Are any of them kale or beans?
No, no kale.
Oh, all right.
But beans?
Beans?
Yeah,
What kind of beans?
so chickpeas or
Well,
another kind of bean.
I didn't used to like hummus. I tried. I must have been like just a plain kind, and I tried it, and it was just, I mean, just so boring and blah.
You need to try baba ganoush.
But then, well, later I was, so I didn't eat any more hummus for a long time, and then I don't know where I tried it or whatever, but it was a different flavor, like what's that called? Roasted red pepper. Sometimes they have that one, or garlic. I don't know, roasted garlic or something like that. And then I actually kind of like those kinds of flavors. But so chickpeas, yeah, I'm okay with chickpeas. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so you're okay with chickpeas. So roasted chickpeas is the transformative. So less than 7 ingredients. So you soak them overnight, which you don't necessarily have to do that. If you don't soak them over, if you don't soak them overnight, really you just add 15 minutes of cook time to them. But you soak them and then you boil them until they're tender, drain, and then you toss them with olive oil, salt, and I usually use cumin, paprika with a hint of garlic powder. And I know this sounds weird, nutritional yeast, or maybe curry powder, it just depends. But then you roast that at 400 for 30 minutes, shake the pan halfway, and what you get is a crunchy, protein-rich, very transportable snack for under $1 per small portion that you would give to somebody.
Interesting.
And the moral to this story is you don't need credentials or wealth to feed yourself well. You really don't. You just need dried beans, water, heat, and the knowledge that simple food prepared with intention beats expensive processed shit any day, any fucking day of the week.
Yeah, that actually, I think I would do that. That doesn't sound too bad.
Although in this house, it doesn't happen very often because that one over there is partial to asparagus and Brussels sprouts, both of which I do almost exactly the same way with a spice variation. I tend to use rosemary when I roast fresh Brussels sprouts, and I use garlic when I roast asparagus in a real heavy butter sauce over. Basically, I olive oil spread them, and then I brush on butter over the top of them after they've been roasted to give them.
I don't think I've ever gotten chickpeas myself, but yeah, I often use garlic, paprika, and cumin. I love cumin.
Cumin.
Oh, that too. Cumin, right.
Cumin.
Yeah.
Not come in. Brandon, I'm curious why you haven't let Jesus come inside you yet.
I did years ago.
You did?
Yeah.
Did he do
Pentecostal church? Pentecostal.
Did he do it more than once and every day? Because
no.
Well,
that's a one-time thing.
No, that's no fun. Gosh, why would anyone do that? All right, so now I'm going to pick on Sarah. So the continuing the methodology behind seed collection. So the question becomes, Sarah, how many seeds can I get out of one organic bell pepper, one organic tomato, and one organic squash?
Wow. A lot.
Okay, a lot. How much is a lot?
Enough to sprout more plants than you can probably care for in a season.
From one
Of each
item,
of those, yeah.
yeah, from one of each of those.
Yeah. Especially the squash, because those plants are huge.
Well, like so, like with a squash, can I rail get a rail bedding and grow those?
You talking about like a lattice?
Yeah.
Some of them are better for that than others. Some of them are just better to have on the ground. It depends on how heavy the gourds are.
How heavy the gourds are.
Yeah, because
How
I mean,
big are your gourds?
yeah, you don't
Or-
want to suspend something like a pumpkin.
No.
I mean, you can. They have nets for that, but
I'm about to move into a third or fourth floor apartment. I would like things that I can grow in railing pots or railing riders.
I probably wouldn't plant a squash in a shallow planter.
No, yeah, you'd need a
And same thing with tomato. If you're going to do tomatoes, it's going to need to be in a bucket because they've got a long taproot.
right.
You could hang a bra from your trellis to support your heavy gourds.
Yes, you could.
Well, can you explain the seed dichotomy for a few minutes? Because I have to get up and step away.
Okay.
That means you get to talk about like why and what do you grow in your garden?
Okay.
So
Tomatoes are
all you.
a big one for us because I make a lot of salsa. And
Salsa.
homegrown tomatoes are 100 times more delicious than store-bought, hands down. I will fight anybody who says otherwise.
No, it's definitely true.
I don't have a lot of luck growing like the bell peppers just because the squirrels and whatnot, they get to them.
The squirrels do?
Yeah, the squirrels will literally get into anything in my garden.
Huh.
They're not picky. They just eat everything.
That's kind of interesting because there's like this flaming squirrel sauce that you can like pour in your birdseed feeder to keep the squirrels away because it's like really spicy. Birds can't detect it, but squirrels can, and they try it and they're like, no thanks.
I don't think that would phase the squirrels here because they will eat my hot peppers.
That's interesting.
Like I grow jalapenos and I've grown some Carolina Reapers and some ghost peppers and scorpions and the squirrels go after everything.
Wow.
So yeah, tomatoes, hot peppers. I have a strawberry patch. I have an asparagus patch. I always grow cucumbers because I have to pickle things. And then herbs, and you have to have flowers because otherwise your plants aren't going to get pollinated. You're not going to have any kind of produce. So one of the herbs that I like to cook with is sage. So I always have a sage plant growing. But I've also got like rosemary and I like to grow cilantro because some people like cilantro in their salsa, but I also grow parsley because I make with and without.
Oh, you make salsa without cilantro?
Yeah, if it's requested, yeah. My cousin often does.
Do you sing the song when you put that stuff in there, like parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme?
I'm not familiar with that song.
Paul, isn't it Paul Simon?
No, it's
Simon and Garfunkel. Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Okay. Yeah.
Peter, Paul, and Mary. By the way, I used to be in that band, but they kicked me out because I wanted to name the song Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Lowry's Seasoning Salt, and they didn't like that idea.
Doesn't have quite the same ring, really.
But really, like any kitchen would be completely complete with parsley, sage, rosemary, thyme, and then cumin and paprika. Like those 6 would be enough.
I like to experiment with growing different things too, though.
Yeah. But marjoram, are there people that use marjoram in cooking? I never do, and I have an entire jar full of it.
Why do you have a jar full of it if you don't use it?
Well, I mean, jar, like little grocery store container of marjoram. But I've never like tarragon, and there's one other one that I've never used.
It sounds like you got a recipe that called for that, and now you're stuck with this jar because you couldn't find a smaller batch.
Yeah. Well, I think
recipe.
they like sell the little short ones or whatever, but it's like, is it worth the $2 if I'm only going to use it one time?
Oh, yes. Sin City says Scarborough Fair.
Yeah.
She also said marigolds are great for that. Is that keeping away the squirrels? I've heard you plant marigolds around your tomatoes to keep away like certain pests like bugs, but
marigolds and nasturtiums are good for the bugs. But it's also
marigolds. Are they a natural detractant for something?
I don't remember which one repels and then the other one attracts. But it's for aphids and other things that go specifically after the tomatoes. But something else you have to worry about with tomatoes is the tomato hornworm, and that you can basically just pick off and put on any other nightshade plant.
So any other nightshade plant will do it.
Mm-hmm. If you don't want to get rid of it, but if it has these things on it that look like grains of rice, you want to leave it because those are the offspring of a parasitic wasp.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not realize that, actually.
You literally just tapped into like the vein of useless garden and insect information.
Well, I mean, these are things I don't. I am herbally inclined. I am not necessarily kitchen herbally inclined.
I think a third of my garden is herbs, medicinal and kitchen.
Herbs. Is that like horse deveris or whatever?
What?
Hors d'oeuvres.
Oh.
Yeah, horse hors d'oeuvres. I don't know. I don't have a highly esteemed opinion about the French language. I'm not a French language friendly person per se. But that's only because I got chastised by a German McDonald's worker over saying pommes frites the wrong way whilst I was in Munich. Because when I looked at it, I thought, well, a German would pronounce this pommes frites. And they said, no, pommes frites. And I'm like, I'm not in France, I'm in Germany. Why? Because languages. Here's another interesting useless fact. I didn't realize this. There are very few, probably less than 5 words in the English language that end with the letter U. Like impromptu is one of them. Menu is one of them. But get this, those are not original English words. Menu and impromptu, I think, are both French borrowed words that never changed their lettering.
Guru.
Yeah, guru. I think guru is a French word too.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, now, would you say tortilla? Because we're not in Mexico.
No. Of course, tortilla. Of course, I have said tortilla before, but I was being funny.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Sin City horsey divers. I mean, cultural appropriation is what it is. So, if we borrow words, my big thing is not saying the word correctly. So, like when you pick up a newspaper and you open the newspaper and there's this big thing in the middle that says Macy's. What do you call that? Begins with an A.
An ad?
No, the longer word.
Advertisement.
Yes, advertisement, exactly. But does anybody say that? Very similarly to, and I love this one. Sarah, what's the second month of the year?
February?
February. There's an R in there. February.
I pronounced that R.
But almost no, like a large body of people do not pronounce the extra R. They say February.
I just put that in an article that I think I published today. I pronounce both R's in February every time I say it.
February is the is the pronunciation. Oh, can you handle my lightweight for me, Sarah, please? Yeah, February. And then also too, what's the pill you take in the morning that has multiple stuff in it that's good for you?
I know.
It's a vitamin, not a vitamin, because there's no E after the T.
Take your vitamins.
Take you vitamins. The thing that you drive the car into when it's the end of the day.
The garage.
The garage. The
garage.
This garage. Sarah, mind blown. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I've heard all these before.
The bad one is, though, like you get all past that with the Queen's English, realizing that if you learn the Queen's English, you say aluminium.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's how I remember how to spell the word, but...
No. It's not to be, like, over-dictative about pronunciation and shit, because I'm not going to do that, but... So you did put something in the article today about February? That's crazy, Brandon.
Yeah, it was the 13 things that make me weirder than you.
But I do it too, so it doesn't make me weirder than you.
Well, I mean, I'm sure some people relate to them. Wendy Parker said that she relates to them, so she's a weirdo.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, that's completely okay, though. That's completely okay. So, in closing, because I actually do have a closing, and we're right over an hour. I woke up. I started my research at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., 4, whatever time of the fucking night it was. And, the thing that I took away from it, watching the halftime show yesterday, joy matters. And because, I felt like all the other shit that's going on outside of that has nothing to do with it. You read about this thing versus that thing, versus this thing and that thing. And what I realized was I was more angry than informed, and I was more energized than hopeless. And so when I sat down to write the daily, I decided to write that instead of doom scrolling. Not that I'm going to continue to use TikTok, because I'm deleting TikTok from my phone because I do not want them to track me. Um, but, that's my survival at a glance, is that I realize I'm using the energy that I do have in a positive way, and that's what I will continue to do. I imagine it'll be the same for you, Brandon, or the same for you, Sarah. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're at the end. I get to ask the question.
Oh, look, we're over an hour. I think.
No. I get to ask.
6 minutes over. I don't know if people can hang on any longer.
Did you meet the guy?
I met the guy.
Ooh.
Finally.
Be still my heart. Oh, my heart is all aflutter.
I was a little nervous, actually, because it's been a while since I've been on an actual date. Because I don't consider hookups and one night stands to be dates or relationship kind of things. So
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Yeah, that's completely.
So, yeah. It was good. We talked for a long time.
Okay.
And we're planning on another meeting, another outing. I don't know what you want to call it. Another date, maybe. I guess I could say, huh?
Meeting seems, if you're not wanting to call it a date.
I know. Another encounter, date. I guess.
I think it should be called a date, Brandon.
I guess.
I feel like that should be called a date, not something else. Not something else. So did you like this person?
We had a good conversation. His personality is different than mine, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Well, I'm very happy now. You've met him, and I'm happy. That makes me very. That makes me very excited for you personally. So.
I mean, if nothing else, I think it's a good practice just to get out there and go on a date.
I would readily agree with you. I would readily agree with you. You want to have those positive experiences. So, yes. Yes, I agree. Completely. Well, yay. So, now I want to hear about your second date.
Oh, after it happens?
Yes. Yeah, I want to hear about your second date. That's all I really had for today. So, Sarah, Brandon, do you have anything else that you want to? What writing adventures do you have coming up?
Writing adventures. Well,
Yes.
I've got stuff coming that's scheduled for this week.
Okay.
I've got I think a fiction piece, or maybe poetry. I don't know, coming out. Something's coming out tomorrow
Okay.
on my Eldritch Unraveling publication, and Thursday. And then I've got another article on Wednesday in my main publication, and an audio podcast on Friday.
My goodness, you're so busy.
I know. And tomorrow I've got Tuesdays with Two Gays.
Oh, that's right. Tuesdays with Two Gays. So,
Yeah.
So Sarah, when is your next Cookie Chronicle gonna hit?
Ooh, that's a good question. So normally they land on Mondays, but I've had other things that have been being published. So the next one of those won't be until not this coming Monday, but the Monday after, so the 23rd.
I feel bereft. You promise those every week.
I mean, there's been other things that have taken precedence. Like this week, I published something that I've been sitting on for a few months.
Yeah, I know. I read it.
Were you the one that commented on it? I just saw an email.
Yes, I commented on it. I commented on it. So yeah, that's every level of I was excited to. I very much enjoyed. I very much enjoyed reading that read. It was a very exciting read for me personally. So yeah, when you I will equally become overjoyed when the next Cookie Chronicles hits, because I expect those every week, and if you don't do that, I feel deeply hurt on the inside.
There's something published every Monday at like 1 a.m. Whether it's a Cookie Chronicles or not is dependent on what's been written recently.
I mean, I understand. I'm not trying to complain. I'm just complaining. I'm just complaining. All right. Well, cool. Well, I can't wait for both of your perspective works, because, Sin City, I am going to probably drop off from Substack entirely here in about 4 or 5 months, because Substack has gotten too toxic.
I mean, on top of that, they had a data breach recently.
Yes, they had a data breach, and I'm not going to be involved in a data breach. I'm not going to, no. Here's the thing. With Discord going facial ID, with TikTok going Palantir or whatever, I really feel like that Substack is going to be the next. Like Substack and the other social services, probably not Blue Sky, are going to go bend the knee of the administration and provide data, and I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, I'm not gonna broadcast to sources that use my data for its own benefit. I do this for the benefit of others, not for the benefit of the corporations that push it. So, I mean, as much as I like money and making money, I'm not going to continue to feed into that ecosystem if I don't have to, because that's unhealthy for me as much as it is anyone else. So anyway, all right. Well, Brandon, Sarah, thank you both. Thursday if we can. If not, Friday we do.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Be safe out there. Do good things. Um, you know, try to do the best you can and get by with the best you can. And we'll be back in 72 hours, if not just 96 hours. Regardless, I thank you all. Be safe out there.